Excited about Airsoft? Hit the like button and comment to join other Airsofters in the conversation. What's up, Airsofters? Gas blowback pistols, for all of their perceived differences in shapes and sizes, pretty much all function the same way. What I mean is, most of them are essentially hammer-fired. Even Airsoft Glocks have an internal hammer that does most of the work. This pistol right here is the Canik TP9 Elite Combat gas blowback Airsoft pistol, and it does things a little differently, in a way that departs from just about every other system out there. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of its unique mechanics, let's go over this pistol in detail, check out how it arrives in the box, and give you our thoughts on this exciting new offering from Cybergun. Taking a look at the box, there's no mistaking there's a beautiful Canik inside here, the really cool logo on the front. Opening the top cover, we get a look at the included instructions at the top, the pressed cardboard holding nicely the TP9 Elite Combat, and included magazine in the box. It's a very, very simple packaging, but held beautifully in there, ready to rock. This compact pistol has a high-strength nylon fiber reinforced polymer frame with well-placed texturing and thoughtful cuts to give you a better grip. It's available in 3 colors, tan, black, and a two-tone featuring a black slide and tan frame. Up top, we've got a full metal slide and barrel, as well as blowback assembly. The Salient Arms designed barrel is a fluted match grade style, closely mimicking the nitride-coated version of the real thing. It is threaded in 14mm negative. A thread protector, which I've got installed here, is not included in the box, but personally, I think the EMG blue thread protector, which jives with the Salient Arm themes here, fits perfectly. And it's available separately on our website. The serrations provide just enough texture to aid in manipulation without being overly aggressive. The Salient style single-hand manipulation sights look great and are easy to acquire. And if red dots are your thing, then you're in luck. The Canik TP9 Elite Combat has a provision for an optics mount, which is sold separately. You could put a red dot on your slide for ultimate coolness. It is worth noting, however, that installing an optics plate will result in removing the factory rear sight entirely. Out here at the back, there is a functioning loaded chamber indicator, which is both visible and tactile. That's a pretty cool feature that not a lot of Airsoft pistols have. Ergonomics-wise, there is an enlarged square trigger guard, so wearing gloves isn't an issue, as well as an enhanced metal magwell designed by Salient for faster reloads. Your hand will ride relatively high in the bore axis, giving you good control over the pistol. Now, this feel is similar to other striker-fired pistols, although the web of your hand sits deeper into the back strap than it would on something like a Glock, which should lessen the chances of slide bite. In addition to the slide release being ambidextrous, it's also within easy reach of the thumb. You don't need to adjust your grip to drop the slide, which is important for quick, efficient operation during use. It is worth noting, though, that because of the extended nature of the slide release or slide lock, it can be quite easy to ride it with your thumb, which means you should either be counting your shots or be cognizant of your thumb placement. Otherwise, the slide might not lock back when you have an empty mag. I also appreciate the attention to detail given to the magazine release button. It's perfectly prominent without being dangerously easy to activate. And it can be swapped to either the left or right side, making this a truly ambidextrous pistol. But I did want to mention just how striking that red trigger safety is on the pistol. It's really cool looking. And of course, any modern handgun worth its salt has provisions for accessory mounts, like lights or lasers. There are 3 slots under the barrel on the frame here, which is plenty for just about any tack light currently available. But all of those external features are not what sets the TP9 apart though. As mentioned earlier, this pistol features an entirely different system of operation. Typically, striker-fired gas blowback pistols actually use an internal hammer to strike the valve on the back of the magazine. This one departs from that trend entirely. Take a look at this. Here on the right is a typical gas blowback pistol lower. You can see the hammer which slams forward when the trigger is pulled. Now compare that to how the Canik TP9 operates. The TP9 does not use an internal rotating hammer assembly. When you pull the trigger, this tab in the trigger assembly impinges directly on the gas release valve. So instead of relying on a spring to slap the valve open, you're directly pushing that valve, and then that valve closes again and resets the trigger. Importantly, this means no rotating hammer and no rotating hammer spring to wear out and break and require replacing over and over again. This new system in the TP9 functions in a way that actually gives you a crisp trigger break, while also allowing for a much smoother, more efficient slide travel. I think one of the most striking elements of the TP9 is the trigger feel. There's a definitive wall and a clean, snappy trigger break when you pull the trigger. Let's head outside and I'll show you what I mean. When you first go to pull the trigger on a fresh magazine, it might feel as though when you pull the trigger that it's already bottomed out at the limit, kind of where a trigger would stop if you were inserting an empty magazine on any other gas blowback. My recommendation? Pull a bit harder. As the design of this trigger and the magazine and how it activates the valve in the magazine means that you will get a nice stiff trigger pull, like so. I will say, if you remove the magazine or the magazine has no gas in it, you do lose the wall of the trigger brake. That's because the whole system relies on the resistive pressure of this magazine's valve. That means that dry fire training without a magazine with gas in it is not something this pistol was meant to do. As for holsters, we do offer a Safariland holster, the 579 GLS 7TS Pro Fit, which does fit this pistol, even with the RMR installed. Otherwise, you can always go with a universal soft holster or get a custom Kydex one to fit your needs. Our chrono test showed an average of 325 feet per second while utilizing our test standard .20 gram BBs loaded in the included green gas magazine. Additional 25 round green gas magazines are available at Evike.com. If you're in the market for an airsoft sidearm, one that feels comfortably familiar and yet very much unique, one that runs well, has an optics cut, a threaded barrel, and true ambidextrous controls, then the Canik TP9 Elite Combat is just what you're looking for. You can find these gas blowback pistols and everything else you need for your airsoft game right here at Evike.com. Thanks for watching. Want even more airsoft content? Hit the subscribe button and click the bell notification icon. Follow us on Instagram and join our Facebook for epic weekly giveaways.